Good day, class 9. Open your history books to chapter 3, Nazism and the Rise of Hitler. Let me give you a small summary of the chapter. In this chapter, you will learn about Hitler, the Nazi Party, and Hitler's determination to make Germany a mighty power. He was so obsessed with this idea that he came up with ridiculous policies. You will learn what steps he had taken to eliminate the Jews and how hatred for the Jews was spread even among the German children in schools and universities. But all bad things do come to an end. Hitler met his end in the Second World War, and the International Military Tribunal charged him with crimes against humanity, crimes against peace, and also for war crimes. Even his commanders were charged, some were prosecuted, and some were given life term. It was in May 1945. Germany had surrendered to the Allies. Hitler knew what was coming. So, his propaganda minister, Hitler himself, and his entire family committed suicide in Hitler's Berlin bunker in April. An international military tribunal prosecuted the Nazi war criminals for crimes against peace, for war crimes, and crimes against humanity. What were these crimes against humanity that raised serious moral and ethical questions and invited worldwide condemnation? Under cover of the Second World War, Germany waged a genocidal war in the regions occupied by Hitler. It resulted in the mass murder of selected groups of innocent civilians of Europe, like the Jews, Gypsies, the Polish, as well as Germans. And these Germans were considered mentally and physically disabled, were killed. It is estimated that Hitler and his Nazi regime killed 6 million Jews, 2 lakh Gypsies, 1 million Polish, and about 70,000 Germans. The Nazis devised different means of killing people, especially by gassing them in various killing centers. The tribunal sentenced only 11 leading Nazis to death, and many others were imprisoned for life. However, many people and historians think that the punishment of the Nazis was far short of the brutality and the extent of their crimes. The Allies did not want to be too harsh on defeated Germany. Why? Because they felt that the rise of Nazi Germany could be traced to the German experience at the end of the First World War. What was this experience? Let us see. Germany fought World War I alongside the Austrian Empire and against England, France, and Russia. These powers hoped to gain from a quick victory, but they did not realize that the war would stretch out for a long period of time, draining Europe of all its resources. In 1917, the US joined the war. Germany and the Central Powers were defeated in November 1918, after which the emperor abdicated the throne, and this gave an opportunity to parliamentary parties to recast German polity. That means to renew or rebuild German politics. The National Assembly established a democratic constitution with a federal structure. Deputies were elected to the German parliament, known as the Reichstag. This republic was not received well by its people. Why? There was a reason. Because the terms it was forced to accept at the end of World War I were extreme. The Peace Treaty of Versailles was a harsh and humiliating treaty. So, in what way was this peace treaty harsh? Let us see some of the provisions. First, Germany lost its overseas colonies and 1/10 of its population. Second, it also lost 13% of its territories, 75% of its iron, and 26% of its coal to France, Poland, Denmark, and Lithuania. Third, Germany was demilitarized to weaken its power. Fourth, the War Guilt Clause held Germany responsible for the war and damages the Allied countries suffered. Germany was forced to pay $6 billion as compensation. Fifth, the Allied armies occupied the resource-rich Rhineland. That means here also Germany had lost the resource-rich Rhineland. Many Germans held the Weimar Republic responsible for not only the defeat but the disgrace at Versailles. So we saw how the Allies humiliated Germany. Let us see the effects of the war. The war had a devastating impact on the entire continent, psychologically and financially. So, in what way? So, how were actually the entire continent of Europe was affected by the First World War? From a continent of creditors, meaning Europe gave a lot of credit before the World War. After the World War, Europe turned into debtors. That means they borrowed large sums of money to fight the war, and therefore they became indebted. The newly born Weimar Republic was being made to pay for the wrongdoings of the old empire. So, why was the Weimar Republic blamed? It carried the burden of war guilt and national humiliation and was financially crippled by being forced to pay compensation. Its supporters, who were mainly socialists, Catholics, and Democrats, became easy targets of attack. They were called the November criminals. This mindset had a major impact on the political developments of the early 1930s. The World War left a deep imprint on European society. Soldiers were placed above civilians. Politicians and publicists laid great stress on the need for men to be aggressive, strong, and masculine. Trench life was glorified, but the actual truth was that soldiers led miserable lives in trenches, trapped with rats feeding on corpses. They faced poisonous gas and shelling, and their ranks reduced rapidly. Aggressive war propaganda and national honor occupied center stage. Therefore, popular support grew for conservative dictatorships that had come into being. Good day.